So, whenever you're preparing to go to a tournament, you have to consider the impact of knights. Everyone knows it: Imperial Knights, Chaos Knights, and Death Guard. Those are the three big menaces of the meta. The problem with Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights is that they are a pure stat check, and you have to be able to pass the stat check in order to win games against them. So, in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly what it takes to bring down big knights. Now, here's the deal: when you're seeing these armies, they're going to be 5, 6 big knights in an army. And due to the nature of how strong these individual models are, is that if you cannot pick up 2 knights on your go turn when you expose everything to kill them, they're going to have 4 left, and that's going to be enough to basically table you, if not just cause cataclysmic damage to you on the strike back, which means that you're not going to be able to continue playing the game. And the problem is that you kind of do have to expose almost everything if you're trying to kill 2 big knights. And then if you ever just play the game where I'm going to trade 3 or 4 of my units for one of the big knights are going to win that trading match. They're just going to win it, because every single time you expose your hyper valuable resource to kill a big knight, you're gonna lose your hyper valuable resource. So let's go through the mathematics of what we actually need to do in order to be able to handle these bad boys. And this is just a informational one for you guys to know what you need to prep for the next few weeks. But here's the reality: don't despair, because the stats are ludicrous at this point about how good knights are. They will be nerfed in the upcoming data slate, which will probably be maybe end of September, hopefully a little bit earlier than that, because it's kind of bad. But this is all going to be fixed in the next balanced data slate. Worry not. Just like every single time there has been something that's been out of whack, GW has come in and has fixed it. I really wish they would have done it a little bit sooner, but seeing as that this is Knights and Death Guard that's too powerful, and it's not, say, Orcs or Drukhari. If it was Orcs or Drukhari, it would have been nerfed within a week. But it's not. It's not. It's a Death Guard. Anyway, let's carry on. So here's the math of what you need. First thing you need to understand is the profiles that you're actually going to be shooting into. So if you're shooting into a big knight, it will be 26 wounds, toughness 11, 3 up armor save, 5 up invuln base with a 6 up feel no pain. Now there is going to be a strat for rotate ion shields, which will put the first one you focus on, it will put them on a 4 up invuln. So you kind of got to calculate, can you kill a knight through a 4 up, not through a 5 up. It's just the way it needs to be, because they're always going to be able to rotate ion shields. If you're playing into Chaos Knights and it's Infernal Lance, they have a 4 up invuln strat as well. So there you have it. If you're going to Lords of Dread, they've got a -1 damage strat, so it can kind of change. I'm just doing all this math off of the Imperial Knights. Then some of the other knights are going to be 28 wounds if they're like a Knight Ashpus, for example, and they have a 5 up invuln that is also in melee. Then if you really want to get into it, you can get into the Castellans or the Tyrants. They will be 28 wounds at a T12, which actually will change math fairly significantly, but we're not really going to do it based off of those, because those aren't really the menace. So all the math today is going to be calculated based off of a 4 up invuln in shooting, 5 up invuln in melee. And that's basically where we're going to go with it. So just baseline. Just to give you a little preview, and I'm going to go through a bunch of different units that you're actually going to need to be able to break through these guys, and how much damage they actually do compared to with how much damage you think they do. So as a baseline, just for everyone's knowledge, it requires 34 hitting on 3 strength 12 last cannon shots to kill a big knight. And this is no buff, so no rerolls, no lethal, no sustained, no pluses to wound, no pluses to anything else on this. Just if you're shooting into a 4 up invulnerable save knight and you can put 34 last cannon shots, you will deal 28.5 damage to it, and it should die. Assuming the knight doesn't reroll a save or something like that, right? Which can obviously skew math very, very significantly. So that's what we're starting working with. So if you got 34 last cannons in your army, you're good to go. All right, now let's start breaking into what can actually kill these knights. First off, if you are a Space Marine player and you're like, don't worry, fam, I've got 3 Lancers in my army, I'm great at killing tanks. Well, you're going to deal 20 damage into a 5 up invulnerable big knight. 15 damage if it's got a 4 up invulnerable save. Now, this can be a little bit tricky to calculate because of the reroll damage thing. You can have bias like more damage, so it makes it a little bit tricky to calculate how much damage you're going to go. So maybe the real stats would be like 22 to 15 instead, maybe 24 to 18ish, or to 19ish. The point is, though, regardless of the damage wound rolls, you cannot rely on 3 Lancers to kill a big knight. which sucks because that is like one of the best anti-shooting, anti-tank platforms in the game. But when they have a 4-bit vulnerable save, it can also be as simple as they go, hey, you know what, screw it, I'm going to spend a CP to reroll one of those wounds that went through. And now you're dealing like almost no damage at all. So 3 Lancers doesn't do it. You're going to need something much better. Now, if you're an Imperial Guard player, you've got an amazing battle tank called the Rogel Dorn. And you know that you can get reroll hit rolls of 1. You can get lethal on it if you're playing combined arms, and you can really put a hurting into a knight. So let's do the math on what the Rogaldorn does. Well, we're going to go ahead and assume that we're in Melta range here for the multi-Melta. Um, and you're going to be getting 5 damage from the Oppressor Cannon, 1 damage from the Coaxial Autocannon, 2 damages from the Pulverizer. Yes, I know, guys, they deal 3 damage each, but there's a feel no pain, and this is just pure mathematical averages. 4 damage from the multi-Meltas. That's going to be 12 damage total. So you're... Oh, you know, I actually forgot to calculate the 2 normal Meltas. It's going to add like 3 damage or so on average. But regardless, you're going to need 2 of your Rogaldorn battle tanks to be able to tap a big knight through a 4 invulnerable save. That's a big problem when you think about how much force you really have to dedicate into going into the big knights. Now, yes, there are other things that you can bias this with. You can, of course, throw a grenade. You can, of course, shoot other guns into them. But just to give you a picture of exactly how much it takes to be able to kill one of these things, each Rogaldorn is, I believe, 280 points? Is it 2? Oh, man, now I'm going to have to look it up real fast. So just for my own curiosity. If it is a Rogaldorn Commander, for example, it is costing you 265 points. So you're looking at over 500 points spent just to kill a big knight. All right, what about Necrons? Everyone's always terrified of Necrons. They've got a lot of really scary shooting in the form of the Doomsday Arcs. Well, if you have 3 Doomsday Arcs that are shooting into a single big knight, that's going to be 17 damage on average. Once again, this is calculated with the 5-up invulnerable or the 4-up invulnerable save. And if you didn't move and you're getting dev wounds on it, you're going to get a roughly 21 damage through. Now, this is calculated with reroll 1s to hit and wound, assuming like the Silent King is near you, because I wanted to show you the math with buffs, not the math without buffs, because that is I want you guys to have a very clear picture of what you need to be building if you're planning on killing big knights. Sometimes a better strategy is just to not worry about knights and hope you don't play them, and then just do the best you can. But if you're one of the armies that can beat them, you need to know if you're one of the armies that can kill them reliably, you need to know just how much you have to put in to killing them reliably. So this one actually surprised me a little bit because it's AdMech, and a lot of people say AdMech have no damage. But AdMech is actually one of the only in the game that actually can pick up big knights in shooting. So if you have 6 breachers led with the, I forgot the tech priest, whatever, and in rad zone, you can get them full rerolls to hit, assuming they're within 6 of battle line, which is not hard to set up. Get them in rapid fire range, so it's 24 shots, not 2 shots, and you're going to give them both sustain and lethal with full rerolls to hit. If you're going into the 4-up invulnerable save knight, you're going to deal 22 damage with this squad alone. And then if you're into a 5-up invulnerable knight, you will do 29 damage. So this is a really, really exciting unit if you're trying to play into the knights meta, because 29 damage against a 5-up invulnerable knight is really, really nice. Now there's another problem here, but I'm going to talk about the problem at the end of the presentation here. So breachers actually come really close, or they do it if they're stuck on a 5-up invuln. Like if you can bait out the 4-up invuln on one knight and then switch to another one, your breachers are very, very solid here. Not to mention they've got a really good overwatch as well when you can stack all those lethals and things on it. Anyway, let's go. What can we kill them with? So we got a few more shooting options. Let's see about the most terrifying shooting in the game, that Librarius Conclave Stern Guard unit. The one where you have a librarian leading them, they're going to get sustained hits, and then they're also going to get anti-monster vehicle 5-up. And remember, Stern Guard gets to reroll wound rolls against the Oath of Moment target. So we're calculating as if the Stern Guard in this matchup are going to be within rapid fire range, so it's going to be 3 shots each, not 2 shots each. And they're going to be getting sustained hits from the enhancement, and they're getting full rerolls to wound because it is the Oath of Moment target. So they're getting full rolls to hit and wound. So basically every damage that goes through is going to be devastating damage. So off of the Stern Guard bolt rifles, you're going to have, on average, it should be 24 shots because it's 2 each, but you're going to be in rapid fire, so it's going to take you up to 36 shots each. You will deal 12 damage into it just with your bolt rifles, which is great. Off of the 2 heavy bolters, you're going to deal 6 damage. The librarian himself is going to deal 3 damage, and that is going to leave you with a total of 21 damage off of this Stern Guard super bomb. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot of damage, but you also got to remember that next turn, that Stern Guard unit is instantly dead, and they will not to get it to do it again. So if your plan is to kill multiple knights, you got to have multiple units that are shooting like this. Let's just look at what do 5 fire dragons do. Now, 5 fire dragons actually do a great job, especially considering that they're dirt freaking cheap. And once again, this is one of the ones that's really hard to calculate, simply due to the fact that they can flip dice. So if we're in aspect host and we get in melter range, which is really close to the knights lines, they're going to deal 15 to 20 damage. This is assuming that you're going to take the sustained hits. And you're getting 4 rerolls to hit and 4 rerolls to wound. And this is also flipping one of the damage is into a max damage. So you're going to end up at 15 to 20 damage based off of variables. This can get, like I said, guys, this one's just a little tricky just because of when you reroll damage rolls, it can change math quite significantly. So just expect a 5-man to do 15 to 20 damage. That means a 10-man unit of fire dragons actually should pick up a big knight. That's very impressive for the points that fire dragons cost. Once again, showing how fire dragons are just bonkers freaking good. Then I wanted to show zone throps with the neurothrop. Now I calculated this as part of what do you call it? Subterranean assault. So that I gave them sustained hits. They have lethal hits, and they're getting to reroll hit rolls of 1, and they're ignoring cover. So these 6 zone throps are going to deal roughly 16 damage, and they're teleporting down, so they're guaranteed to get line of sight. And they're going to deal about 16 damage into a big knight. And then that neurothrop is going to, the neurothrop or neurotyrant is going to deal approximately 2 damage. So you're going to get about 18 damage out of this one really big unit. Just keep in mind that unit will fail to kill the big knight, so you need something else to help finish the big knight off. And then the units that are exposed are going to be destroyed. So you're not going to get to try this twice. That is the real problem, because you, as the person who is putting damage into the big knights, are going to drop off on the damage you can deal much more quickly than what the knights player is going to drop off on. Then we look at melee. So what are some of the melee units that can actually handle these big knights? So if you take Gaz, Coolmecker, Traka, and 2 Mega Knobs with the kill saws, and you're going into a, let's say, a Knight Atropos that has a 5-up invulnerable save in melee, you're going to deal approximately 22 damage. Now, this is because you get, we're doing this off of Warhorde. It's where you get crits on 5. It's going to be both lethal and sustained. Gaz is hitting on 2s. He's wounding on 2s. AP 3, which takes him to the invuln, and flat 4 damage. You're going to deal 16 plus 6 damage. 16 from Gaz, 6 from the 2 megas. Makari might deal half a damage, so I just didn't bother including him. So that is 22 damage against the Knight Atropos, which is great damage, but you will, of course, have to bias the damage a little bit first. Whether that's gone through like a grenades and 1 tank buster shot who gets through, or however you're going to do it, you're going to need to deal a little bit of damage before they go in. Now, if you're going into a knight that does not have an invulnerable melee, let's think a Knight Crusader or even Canis Rex himself, you're going to deal approximately 28 damage against them. Now, this is not assuming that you're going to spend a CP reroll to reroll one of Gaz's like hit rolls. Let's say he rolls a 1. And you roll it to a 5. There's ways that you can bias the math here, but to give you guys the snapshot of what to expect, this is what you should be expecting. So I would not plan on Gazcool killing the knight that he goes into. If it's going into a knight that doesn't have an invuln like Canis Rex, okay, you can expect him to, but the reality is you're only dealing 2 damage more than what the wound count is. So if he makes 1 save more than what he should make, he won't die, which is a big problem for you. So you have to bias the math in your favor via grenades, shooting, squig bombs, or whatever. If we looked at World Eaters, they've got a great unit into knights, but you got to understand just how many buffs you need to kill these knights. So if you have this 20-man unit of Khorne Berserkers, you're going to get 16 Zerkers with the chain blades or chain swords, and that's going to deal 20 damage into the big knight. And then you're going to deal 10 more damage with the guys who have the Eviscerators. So that's a total of 30 damage, even if they have that 5 invuln melee. And this is really, really incredible. The problem is this is assuming that you have both sustained and lethal hits from your Blessings of Khorne, and it's assuming that you got the charge, and it's assuming that you spent plus 1 AP to get, or I'm sorry, you spent 1 CP to get plus 1 AP, and it's assuming that you also have plus 1 to hit from the 8 bound. So I did the math for when these buffs start to drop off. So let's say that you get no sustain and no lethals. That's now going to drop from 30 damage to 18 damage. If you don't get the hit buff, it's going to drop to 15 damage. And if you don't have the strats for this, the CP, no lethals. So the strats for the extra AP, no lethals, no sustain, and no hit bonus to hit, this squad is only going to be dealing 11 damage total. So you really desperately need the mathematical buffs if you're going to be running through these knights. But this is a great unit to do it if you do have all the buffs up. So that's actually really important to understand. And then I got a few more here, and then I'm going to talk about the general problem. So we've got 6 Inner Circle Companions with Oath and Combat Lieutenant's reroll. So I'm going to point out an objective that I'm going to take reroll wound rolls of 1 on it. I'm going to lead this unit by Azrael. And I'm going to have it in Gladius so I can get +1 to wound. And I'm going to give it my Oath of Moment target. So it's my Oath of Moment target. I'm going to use strats to give myself +1 to wound. My ICC are going to have both lethal and sustained in melee with this at strength 6. So hitting on 2s, full rerolls to hit, crits on 6s are both lethal and sustained, and they're +1 to wound, meaning that they're going to be wounding on 4s. All right. You're going to deal 23 damage with the ICC and only 5 damage from Azrael on average. That is 28 damage. That perfectly kills a 5-up invulnerable save knight in melee. Once again, you're running into a huge problem. What if they roll 1 extra save than what you're expecting? Then you got to look at the cost of the package. So this is 180 for the ICC, 115 for Azrael. It has to be your Oath target. You need 1 CP for the lance strat, and then you're going to need some delivery, which is going to cost 80 points for the impulsor, and likely an advance in charge, whether that's going to be a strat or activating your doctrine. So as you can see, it is an extremely heavy sink of your resources to get into it. The nice thing about Space Marines is generally you have the combined arms to actually do a little bit of damage in shooting first before you make that charge, so it makes it fairly easy to bias that damage. And just because I wanted to throw it in there, everyone knows that Lionel Johnson is a total beast. Well, I went ahead and calculated him as well. I gave him his aura of reroll 1s to hit and wound, and I also went ahead and gave him the lance strat as well. So you're going to deal 17 damage roughly into a 5 invulnerable save. The reason why it's 17 and it's not like an even number is because of that Feel No Pain. And then if there's no invuln, you're going to deal about 23.35 damage. I guess I shouldn't write the 0.35. You're going to deal 25 damage if there's no invulnerable save. Like say you're going against a Crusader or a Canis Rex or something like that. Now, here's the real problem when you're going into Knights, because I gave you a bunch of math, a bunch of stats, but here's the problem when you're going into Knights. If the Knight player rolls slightly above average on their saves, you'll kill no Knights. And then you automatically lose because they're going to wipe you. So what you have to understand is that if you're planning to go be able to pick up a big knight or even 2 big knights in a turn, you need to be able to calculate that your averages will be able to kill the big knight, not just on average, but with like a 30% leeway. So you never want to have a 50% shot of killing them. You want to have like the 80% shot of killing them, which means you need all of your buffs on your big, scary, damaging unit. And then you need backup just to help out, because you have to ensure that you kill the big knights. When you're going for the king, you better not miss. So hopefully this math helps you guys realize just how much you need to put into the big knights. Do not put your 1 scary unit into them and think that they handled it, because that's a great way for the knight player to make an extra save or spend a CP to re-roll a save and then wipe your big scary unit, and then you have no recourse. So when you're going for these guys, you have to make sure that you deal with them. So that's today's video. I just wanted to catch you guys up on it. Remember, it's not all doom and gloom. They are beatable, even though they are clearly the strongest in the game right now. And it is going to be balance patched. So don't worry about the balance patches, because Games Workshop will, I mean, you can like complain about it right now. I'm a little salty about it as well. But the reality is that Games Workshop will fix this in the next balance status slate. You probably have a month left of this. But just for now, for that month, this is what you need to do to kill them. So until next time, crump on. Bye-bye.